Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to apply mocap data to your Metahuman. This is the method I found. We're going to be using Maya as our intermediary retargeting tool. First, we want to export the skeletal mesh, which you should go to your Metahumans folder and then the Metahuman you created, and then in body, and this purple one, the skeletal mesh, this is the one. So you're going to export that into an FBX. So right click it and then asset actions and then export. These are the settings you need. Feel free to pause and copy them. FBX 2020, no ASCII, morph targets needs to be on, no source mesh export. We're only going to export the skeletal mesh. This one, the export preview mesh, you can either leave off or turn it on. If you turn it on, you will have gray body geometry. If it's off, you will only see bones in Maya. I prefer just purely exporting the skeletal mesh. So yeah, with these settings, just export it and you should have FBX file. So we're now going to make a new Maya file and then we can just drag this FBX in there. Perfect. So now we need to grab our mocap data, which should also be in FBX form. So just drag and drop that in there as well. And there we go. We have our second skeleton. Now we have to make sure our frame rate is correct, which I accidentally set the frame range to 24. The frame rate is to the right, so set that to 24. And you also have to be sure that your Maya is in centimeters to avoid any scaling issue. So we're going to Windows, Settings, Preferences, Settings, and then make sure this is on centimeter. So now we're going to retarget our Metahuman skeleton to this mocap skeleton. For that, we're going to use the animation retargeting tool. The link should be provided. Just go to the online page, follow the installation instructions. Shouldn't be too difficult. The way I'm going to retarget this is by not using IK connections and purely using rotation for similar bones, except for the hip bone, of course, because that's the center of everything. So for both of these skeletons, the root should be on 0, 0. And before we can start using this retargeting tool, we need to put this mocap skeleton into a proper T-pose. We can do this on frame 0, or if you really need your first frame, you can move back a few frames into frame -1 or -5. For me, it doesn't really matter. And then we're just gonna select our bones here. And we're gonna start putting every rotation to 0. This will take a bit of manual labor. You can shift select the bones, multiple bones in the viewport or in the outliner. That can make it faster.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour.
All right, so I'm pretty sure these have all been set to rotation 0, 0, 0. Now I'm going to put this next to this one. As you can see, the mocap data and the skeletal mesh, in my case, are fairly similar in size. If needed, you can adjust scales, but just make sure that the hips roughly align. That's, I think, the most important part. And now we're going to start retargeting. For this, I'm going to use the outliner because we have the names here and I don't have to go finicky between bones in my viewport. We are going to start with the hips. So we select the driver and then the driven. Now for the hip, we're going to copy the rotation as well as the translation. The hip has got to move the whole body. We're not going to create an IK connection. We're just going to create a normal connection. And if we now hide the mocap skeleton, the hip is moving the whole body. So now we can turn off translation. And for the other bones, we're just going to copy the rotations. So let's start with the legs, left up leg. So select the driver, select the driven, create the connection. You can go into the connection you just made, press select. It will automatically select this red point you just made. And then you can align this you wish. For me, I don't think it's going to be necessary. It is, however, going to be necessary for these arms because these obviously have a huge difference.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
So once you properly retargeted your Metahuman rig to your mocap rig, and it should look something like this. The fingers were kind of tricky, so you can use joint display scale to scale them down. Also, worth noting, I did some rotation alignment, like for example the feet here, using the red balls, and then for the arms and the hands as well. Another thing, in my case, it exported these hand meshes, so we can just delete those. Doesn't really matter. So now we can export this Metahuman rig. We're going to click the root of the Metahuman rig, and then we're going to go to File, Export Selection, FBX Export, include all of these inputs, then Export Selection, give it a nice name and location. So what's important here is that you tick on animation and tick on bake animation as well. Set proper start and end frames. You want to check deformed models as well, so skins and blend shapes. And then you can uncheck constraints because you want the keyframes which we're going to bake. We don't want any of the Maya constraints. And export to FBX 2020. We can export selection. And you can see it gave us a warning, complex animation baked. A lot of attributes had complex animation, so it was exported as baked curve. This is actually good. This is a good warning. We want to see this. That means it worked. Now we're going to apply the animation to our Metahuman. So we're going to go to our level sequences. And this is my master level sequence. I've already imported one motion capture. We're going to make a new one here. So just right click level sequence, give it a nice name. Drag this in here, give it a nice name as well. And then we're going to double click it to enter it. We'll add the Metahuman into this sequence. As you can see, it imports the body, but also the control rigs. We don't need the control rigs. We're not going to manual animate it, so you can get rid of these. For the body, we do want to add an animation. So wherever you've got these stored, for me, I have them stored in a folder, my Metahumans called mocap. We just drag and drop the FBX we just made. And here are some things you should enable or disable. So skeletal mesh, we want that off. So here, import skeletal meshes. Have that off. Import only animations. If you've used the proxy mesh, the gray mesh, when exporting to Maya, you want to make sure import mesh is also unchecked. Now here in the skeleton section, you want to select the correct Metahuman skeleton. You gotta watch the path here. This one is /game fab Metahuman, so this is just engine, and then this one is, there we go, common, female, medium, normal weight body. So this one is the one we're looking for. So Metahuman base skeleton, and just use that one so it knows which skeleton to link it to. You're telling Unreal which skeleton the animation belongs to, essentially. Some other things you want to check are import bone tracks, import attributes as curves or animation attributes. Make sure the scales are set to 1 so we don't have any weird scaling issues. Also make sure your animation length is set to source timeline so it imports the whole animation. And if you want to remove redundant keys, you can check it. If you don't want to, you can uncheck it, you know, keeps all the raw data. And once all that's set, we can press import, and we are going to go to the body, press plus, and assign the mocap, which we just imported. And there we go. We see it snap to the T-pose, and it should immediately start working properly if you've done it well. All right, so there we go. That is how you apply your mocap data to your Metahuman. I can see there's like a little mishap with the pinky fingers, so that should be like a retargeting issue. Simple fix, just go back to the Maya, delete the wrong targets and just retarget it to the correct ones. But yeah, grow. So yeah, thanks for watching.